This horror game was banned on Steam. It's called Vile Exhumed, a creepypasta style game that has you searching through a computer in the 90s looking for clues to a mystery that only gets darker the more you delve into it. But before this game was ever made available on Steam, they pulled it completely. Well, I played it several times in fact, and as far as I know I got all of the secrets, everything that the game has to offer. So today I'm going to explain what Vile Exhumed is about, why it was banned, and whether or not it should have been. Let's start off by answering that last question. Do I think this game should have been banned? The short answer is no. The long answer is
absolutely fucking not.
In fact, this new trend of banning games actually puts many horror games like Poppy Playtime, Little Nightmares, Five Nights at Freddy's, and Silent Hill all at risk. More on that at the end of the video. But to really answer this question, we need to answer why it was banned in the first place, and to answer that, I need to explain what this game is about. Now, it's not often that I do this, but I am going to add a content warning to today's video. To sum it up simply, Vile Exhumed is a game that tackles misogyny, the hatred or mistreatment of women. This is the core theme of this game, but I understand that some people might be sensitive to this subject. So as much as I will do my best to keep this video mostly safe for work, if you want to head out here, I will not hold it against you. But if you do stay, be warned, because this game gets dark. In Vile Exhumed, you are given absolutely no direction whatsoever. You are presented with a screen that shows your email, shootthedog77@voss.com, and you are asked to enter your 4-digit PIN. I don't think the PIN actually matters, but of course, I had to choose this one. Once entered, you are faced with a screen containing a bunch of different documents and programs. Now, the theorist in me was immediately excited. It was clear that there was going to be something here to find, and oh boy, was there something to find indeed. You see, a lot of these files were locked behind passwords that I didn't have, and the ones that were open didn't really make much sense yet. This file, for example, showed a bunch of cats with their descriptions, which at first just seemed like an Easter egg or something. But it quickly became clear that whoever owned this PC was hiding something, and that they had some very particular tastes. We later find out that the owner of this PC is a man named Sean Garrix. We can see that Sean is a fan of adult content. By sifting through his emails and looking at the websites that he visits, it quickly becomes apparent that he spends a lot of his time either talking to women online or on some questionable websites. It also seems like he enjoys a particular type of adult video. These are adult movies that blend horror with Now, it's not long until you realize that Sean is a big fan of a popular adult horror movie star, Candy Corpse. Her movies are his favorite, and he even spends time on her fan page and forums. However, Sean and lots of her fans are disappointed because Candy has stepped away from the limelight and from making this kind of content. Now, it isn't long before we figure out why she stepped away. On the forums, we learn about a fan who spotted Candy in real life. The fan claims that he asked for a photo with her before she, for no reason, became incredibly rude and turned him down. This conversation created such a stir that the forum itself was eventually closed. But over the course of the game, we learn that this wasn't how this interaction happened at all. In fact, Candy had agreed to take a photo with the fan until the fan got creepy with her. And then, after refusing to take the photo, it was the fan who became very rude and aggressive towards her. This is reflected in the conversation online. Candy is painted as the villain in this story, people are vile towards her, calling her horrific names when all she was doing was standing up for herself. This is likely the reason why she stepped away from the spotlight in the first place. But this is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how creepy this game gets. Around the midpoint of the game, you can unlock a small minigame that gives us a pretty big clue that there is more going on here than we first thought. It's actually pretty ironic how you unlock this. You know those scams that you get? Oh, my friend thought you were cute, check out her profile at this link. Yeah, Sean fell for one of those. After clicking on this link, you get this weird video. Why does it? Oh my god! This is the creepiest creepypasta I've ever seen in my life! Why does it sound like crows, though? Mary? Mary.exe. Bloody Mary? Wait. Only say it once. Don't ever say it 3 times. Which then turns into this minigame. This game tells the tale of someone who enters this house on a dare. You very quickly realize that something terrible happened here. Not only is this character scared of being seen here, but their camera reveals weird glitches around the house that imply there is some sort of presence here. This person is supposed to turn off the lights in the bathroom and then turn around 3 times, but after turning around once, the sound of raspy breathing can be heard right behind them. No, it's the Grudge! It's Ringu! Now, terrified, they try to leave, only to be stopped and then attacked by the ghost of a woman. Now, this is a huge clue of where the story is going to go, but by this point of the game, players will have started to realize that there is something off with Sean. Not only are there plenty of files on his PC password protected, implying he's hiding something, but his trash emails folder gives us some clues that Sean isn't exactly honest. Sean was banned from the messaging site Dirty Love for inappropriate behavior. In his emails, we can see that he protested the ban, claiming that he did nothing wrong and that he didn't even use the site's messaging features. But we find out the reason that he was banned was that he found out the details of a girl on the site and emailed her directly, trying to proposition her. So while he was technically telling the truth about not using the messaging features, he omitted the part where he essentially stalked someone. But once again, this is only the beginning. We learn that Sean was denied a job opportunity due to his criminal record. Sean had an incident involving a girl he was dating in his home state named Molly. In Sean's messages, it's implied that Molly accused Sean of assault. She claimed that he refused to leave her home, and whatever it was that he did was serious enough to involve the police, even leading to a restraining order. Now, Sean claims that he tried to kiss her and that she overreacted, something that one of his friends sided with him on. But that same friend sends Sean an email of the police report telling him to get his story straight, lock the report away on his PC, and then delete the email. Seems a little suspicious for something that was supposedly just an innocent mistake. Now, once you finally figure out the password to the report, it becomes immediately apparent that Sean is guilty. Not only did he lie about what happened, but once again, he omitted the parts that make him look bad. This is what a lot of dishonest people do. They don't often outright lie, but they do twist and warp the truth to fit their own narrative. But this isn't Sean's darkest secret, not by a long shot. Throughout the game, it becomes abundantly clear that there is a market for horror adult content. The site Video Nasty Swap lets people buy, sell, or trade their VHS tapes, and plenty of those fall under this category. But there are small hints that people want more. Whether you like it or hate it, these tapes are all implied to have been filmed by consenting adults, and most importantly, they are all fictional. But the tapes that fetch the most money are the ones that are considered to be the most rare or unusual. Later on in the game, it becomes clear that some people want tapes that appear to be real. This is one of the key themes of the game. There are always a small minority of people that take things to the extreme, past the point of moral and safe. These people aren't satisfied with fictional horror, they want to see real horror. But as we delve deeper and deeper into Sean's PC, we learn that he too is one of those people. His obsession with horror and gore started with hunting animals. On his computer, we can find several images of deceased animals, and some of them are even laid out in morbid displays. Now, if you've watched as many horror movies as I have, you'll probably know the trope. The serial killer who begins their evil acts by cruelty towards animals before moving on to humans. And this is exactly what Sean does. You see, Sean isn't content with just watching those adult horror movies, Sean begins to make his own. Our first major clue to this is how Sean contacts women to arrange to swap VHS tapes. He reaches out to people by email, claiming he wants to buy their tapes to save on the listing fee, of course. Just like any good villain, he knows a discreet location, just down an alley. But of course, he works late, so the meeting time just has to be at night. Now, if your alarm bells aren't ringing by now, let me spell this one out for you. do not meet strangers down alleyways at night. Now, Sean never shares his real name even when asked, but if this wasn't a red flag, there is a much more sinister clue that you can find. He seems to target only specific women. We learn in his emails that Sean asks for a description of the women before he meets them, in order to recognize them when they meet up, of course. But when one of these women replies that she's blonde, he never replies to her. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that Sean is targeting people that look like Candy. This is where the darkest secret of the game is revealed. We learn that Sean was in talks to meet a girl named Eleanor to buy one of those VHS tapes, but we later find out that he was stalking her the entire time. He recorded footage of her without her knowledge, even recording footage of her home. But after they finally meet, no more emails were ever sent from Eleanor. Right at the end of the game, we learn that she is now missing, and hidden in the hardest to reach parts of Sean's computer, we can find photographs of her body. Now, this is where things get really dark. We know that many of the movies in the game include kills. That is pretty much an integral part of horror, but with how good the visual effects can be, it would be hard to know at first glance if this was real or not. But by now we know that Sean is indeed killing these women. In fact, hidden in a really hard to open website, we find auctions that explicitly claim they are selling real footage of murders. This website just so happens to be saved on Sean's computer. Now, by the end of the game, we learn that Eleanor wasn't Sean's only victim. It's strongly implied that Molly was Sean's first attempt, and we also learn that another girl is missing named Valerie. Both Valerie and Eleanor resemble Candy Corpse, and we learn in the most horrifying and unhinged hidden note that Sean is obsessed with killing Candy, but he can't do it until he learns her real name. He ends the deranged note with, "It's not VL, it's not EK, it's not CC, 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 and so on." These are the two names of his victims, Valerie Larson and Eleanor Carey. CC obviously stands for Candy Corpse. Knowing that he specifically chose these two because they resembled Candy shows how to him these girls were nothing more than stand-ins for what he really wants. But the game ends in the most disturbing way. This entire time, as we the player were obsessing over tiny details to try and solve the mystery, we were actually playing as Sean as he was obsessing over every detail trying to figure out Candy's real name. Of course, we now know that he plans to make her his final victim, his final girl, if you will. But it turns out that Candy was much closer to him than he realized. All throughout the game, you can find evidence that Sean has been trying everything he can think of to learn Candy's name. He emailed her talent manager, Andy, pretending to be a magazine interested in writing an article about her. He tried to convince the man who met Candy in person to give him more details, and he has analyzed every tape she has ever made. But the very last email of the game before the credits is sent by Casey, one of the managers of the video rental store named Found Footage. She tells Sean that she has a copy of one of Candy's tape for him. If you paid attention throughout the game, you will know that Casey is a manager of the store alongside Andy. Candy Corpse's talent manager is also named Andy. In fact, Andy is a combination of the names Casey and Andy. Now that you know this means that Sean also knows this. And in one final mistake, Casey sent Sean this mail from her personal email address, caseyclyde@voss.com. This ending is tragic. Now that Sean knows her real name and where she works, he has everything he needs to pursue his final victim. The final cutscene of the game has Sean phone up the video store, only to sit there, heavily breathing down the phone as Casey calls him Vile. This whole game is a commentary on both parasocial relationships, but also the danger of having an online presence, particularly for women. This game is so unsettling because not only does it tackle very real problems, but it also puts you in the shoes of the villain. I was obsessed with figuring out the mystery of the game, just like Sean was obsessed with finding out Candy's real name. Ironically, the name Vile Exhumed holds significance. Exhumed means to dig up, usually used in reference to a body. Well, not only were we digging through Sean's computer, but we of course learn later that the bodies he left behind are also being dug up. As someone who enjoys horror, this game did make me feel uncomfortable at times. I love slasher movies. Seeing people get killed in violent and gory ways is something that I enjoy. But this game made me look at myself and realize while I know this is all fiction, some people enjoy that for real. Now, of course, this game also tackles violence against women, which in the movie horror world is very common, but something that is somehow seen as almost taboo in the gaming horror world. On top of this, the game does have things that make it feel a bit more real. While there is absolutely no nudity or lewd content in the game, it does imply nudity. The images of corpses you see in the game are practical. They are photographs of the developer with visual effects and makeup. I can understand how that might be a bit too real for some people. Fun fact, the developer is known on social media as Kara Cadaver, CC, get it? But the question of whether this should be banned or not is absolutely absurd. Yes, this game made me feel uncomfortable. It's horror. It's supposed to be scary or unsettling. Yes, this game uses practical effects rather than digital animations. That makes it feel more authentic. It's supposed to feel believable because that makes it creepier. This game is, in my opinion, a fantastic game. It's clearly made for adults and it does tackle some incredibly dark material, but it gives you a warning before you buy it. Not only is this game a very unique experience, but it's also an important commentary on the real-world dangers we face. The ultimate message of this game is to be careful with what you share online. It's a warning that there are people out there that would do you harm, and it highlights some very real problems that we have specifically with female content creators. To ban it is to silence a conversation about violence against women, and it was banned all because a woman showed a bit too much skin. Again, no nudity, but it was banned for adult content with depictions of real people. Yes, the game has some implied nudity. Yes, some of them are kind of sexy, but none of it is actual nudity. And this is a horror game for adults. Once again, the theme of the game is adult content, but no actual adult content is shown. How is this game banned from Steam, yet there are full-on hentai games available for purchase right now? And I'm being polite when I say hentai games. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. There are games available for purchase right now that show way worse than this game. By the way, I'm not saying that those games should be banned either. I think that customers should be able to make their own decisions. But I cannot for the life of me understand why this was a game that Steam chose to ban. The problem with censorship is that it's such a slippery slope. We're seeing this a lot lately, but the problem is that this is only the start. This feels, to me at least, like Steam panicking over pressure from losers online who want to try and get anything they don't like banned. But the problem with this is that for everything that exists, there will be someone who doesn't like it. Poppy Playtime has violence against children, so does Little Nightmares, as does Five Nights at Freddy's. In Silent Hill 2, James literally strangles his wife to death. So do we need to ban all of these games too? Well, there are certainly people that would want that. If any of these games ever have anything that might appear to be a little too real, they could be banned too. Now, this isn't the first time that we have seen attempts at censorship in entertainment. In the 80s, Dungeons & Dragons was considered satanic and people tried to get it banned. Recently, people tried to get Poppy Playtime banned because of fan content. And even more recently, we have, allegedly, seen Steam cave into pressure from payment processors such as Visa and MasterCard after they were targeted by groups such as Collective Shout. Again, allegedly. But if we start banning games like Vile because it showed some implied nudity, then it's only a matter of time before they come for games like Doki Doki, Amanda the Adventurer, and anything else that might offend. Today it's implied nudity, but tomorrow it's simulated harm to children. All of this to say, we shouldn't be banning or censoring things we don't like, as long as they aren't breaking the law, of course. While it's Steam's right to sell or not sell whatever they like, the reason why they didn't allow this game is what concerns me. Once again, the game doesn't contain any adult material, only implied nudity. I can only conclude that it was banned due to pressure from groups like this. But to people who are supporting censorship, I say this: if you don't like a horror game, don't play it. If there's certain types of horror movies you don't like, don't watch them. But if you're going to tell other adults what they can and can't consume, shut the fuck up. Now, if you like this video and you want to play this game, it is available at vileisbanned.com. It's now free with the option to donate if you want to. If you want to stand against censorship, then maybe check this one out or chuck a couple of dollars at the devs. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.